A couple of months ago, Dextero wrote an article regarding a big takeaway from a video that PewDiePie made regarding rating things in Japan now that he's lived there for a year. The video was basically reviewing the things he likes and doesn't like in Japan, and the big thing that the article talked about was how PewDiePie feels free from the YouTuber grind set that he dealt with in his 20s. Nice, wholesome little video. Go watch it if you want to soak up the good vibes. You'll probably need it after this. But like most good things on the internet, it made its way over to Twitter, and somehow, people managed to find an issue with it. I know, right? Absolutely shocking. I have never heard of Twitter being an awful cesspit before. And arguably, the worst take I saw regarding this article was from Twitter user Abort Your Son. Yeah, you know exactly where this is going. Misogynistic, porn-addicted men and their obsession with Japan is not a coincidence. Now, I don't know about you or anything, but I decided to sit through the entire video of PewDiePie talking about the things he likes or doesn't like in Japan and all that, considering it is only about 15 minutes long. And oddly enough, there's no mention of porn or anything misogynistic in that video. And I don't know if you read the Dextero article, but I did. It's like a less than 5-minute read. You can do it. But they don't mention anything like that in the article either, because the article is specifically talking about the part of the video where PewDiePie talks about how he broke from the YouTuber grind set, which notably, he also mentions is a mindset shift, and not necessarily because he moved to Japan or anything like that.
This has nothing to do with Japan to say. It's more related to me taking a more relaxed approach to YouTube. So yeah, it's not really Japan. I could have done that anywhere, but it's largely why I enjoy it so much here.
Yeah, so honestly, I have no idea where you, good old Twitter user Abort Your Son, got the idea that PewDiePie solely moved to Japan because he's misogynistic and likes porn. But that is quite the hot take you got going on there. Honestly though, it's not even a hot take considering the fact that you are just solely talking out of your ass on this one, considering the context behind the video and the article itself. But in all honesty, this is just really a really stupid little fanfiction written by an angry RadFem that doesn't like PewDiePie for some reason, and more so for whatever reason that their Delulu brain came up with this week, which happens to be misogyny and porn apparently, which aren't correlated to this video or article at all. You don't get the dignified title of hot take for something as fucking insane as that. You get insane Wattpad fanfic instead. Take it or leave it. And yes, not even AO3 fanfiction, because this is truly stupid. Now you might be thinking, oh gee, that's a really weird fanfiction that she's written. You know, I'm so glad that she didn't elaborate on that any further. Oh, sweetheart, don't you worry. She absolutely did elaborate on it. And arguably, it's no better and it just extends her delusional little fanfiction. I prefer Japan's culture and the people's hospitality. Just get to the gist and say you enjoy living in a country that has a booming porn and hentai industry and where penalties for pedophilia and rape are lenient. Yeah, chapter 2 of the PewDiePie fanfic is projecting serious topics onto PewDiePie and his choice to move to Japan, apparently. God. If you are somehow out there, I would just love to be lobotomized. Please and thank you. Now, hear me out, okay? The last part talking about the penalties for rape and pedophilia in Japan is actually a genuinely serious problem. In an article for NPR written by Juliana Kim, for decades, Japanese law had 13 as the legal age of consent and only convicted cases of rape if they were able to prove that the victim fought back against their assailant, noting that this led to rape being severely underreported and how most assailants got away unpunished. To add to the subject of pedophilia other than the questionable, to put it lightly, age of consent, according to an article on Kyoto News from 2020, first-time offenders such as possessors of child pornography are often only given minimal fines, and their family and workplaces are sometimes not even informed about these crimes. Which, to make this even worse than it already is, a large portion of those found guilty have an employment background involving children and have professions in education. Yeah, it's pretty fucking disgusting. And while that's disgusting, as of June 16th of this year, legislation was passed to redefine rape to non-consensual sexual intercourse, those convicted facing up to 15 years in prison, and raise the age of consent to 16, which is more normal given that in the United States, it ranges from 16 to 18 depending on the state you live in. On top of this, according to AP News, legislation passed against filming, distributing, and possession of sexually exploitative images taken without consent, such as upskirting, which makes this all punishable with up to 3 years in prison. Yeah, that does a lot more than just requiring cameras in Japan to have a shutter sound.
What the fuck?
So clearly these are very serious issues within Japan, and they are only now just getting legislative attention, which, don't get me wrong, this is actually progress, but only time will tell how much things improve and what else needs to be done. So with the seriousness of these issues being addressed and quite apparent, why don't you tell me why you decided to project these very serious issues onto PewDiePie for just simply being a man who moved to Japan? Don't worry, I can wait. I have plenty of time. That makes zero sense whatsoever, and it's genuinely weird that you decided to project these issues onto PewDiePie to fuel your very clear hate boner towards him. And do me a favor and don't even try to pretend that this isn't about you just not liking PewDiePie or anything, because you decided to bring his child into this discussion, which arguably, that child is going to be living a way better life than a child that you or I could even spawn, given how successful both of his parents are. Thoughts and prayers are not necessary for that child. Projecting very real issues onto a YouTuber that you just do not like does not make your argument any more valid. On the contrary, it probably actually detracts from it, considering the fact that people with negative IQs will now see this as a reason to not take your argument on a real issue seriously. Most normal people won't, but this is Twitter, and you are doing the equivalent of the pancakes and waffles Twitter meme, so Godspeed. Because not only are you making yourself look like a fucking brainlet, but you're giving people a reason to not take serious issues that you personally want addressed seriously whatsoever. Also, really quickly, back to the tweet. Culture and hospitality are quite normal reasons to want to visit a place. I don't understand why you think that that means something else, but it's a thing. Now I know what you're thinking. Now you don't think it could get any worse than this, because clearly they've doubled down. They aren't gonna do anything else. And I have some horrible news for you. They fetishize the women and enjoy the casualness in which porn and hentai are treated. Western immigrants like him usually stay in touch with other immigrants in Japan who had the same motives moving there. I used to watch a lot of YouTubers in Japan. Can confirm.
Oh, baby, a triple!
Again, this is the article that spawned all of this shit. And once again, I don't understand how we got here. To claim that all Western immigrants in Japan solely are there to fetishize the women and enjoy the casualness of porn and hentai in the country is actually fucking insane. I need you to go touch grass. Spoiler alert, not all people are coomers who go to Japan and realize that they could see their big titty anime waifus in Akihabara. Some people are actually normal. And also take showers. The article that this is all about is regarding PewDiePie breaking out of the YouTuber grind set, and his video has no mentioning of the women in Japan, nor porn and hentai. I am running out of ways to tell you how your little schizo posting is just one big fanfiction with how astronomically fucking insane it is. If Felix mentioned porn or hentai in his rating video, you know what? I wipe my hands of that, I concede, you might have a point in him liking the casualness of porn within the country. But the thing is, that's not even mentioned at all. And you know what, since you decided to triple down on this little fan fiction regarding PewDiePie, here's a little abridged version of PewDiePie's video, since you clearly couldn't sit through the almost 15 minutes of it. For good things, the things he liked, he said it feels like a playground in a way he won't run out of things to do. Japanese people are nice in his experience when meeting neighbors, and just other people cheering him on while he's doing his hobby stuff. The YouTube grind set is completely gone, and he feels like he's living in a dream due to the small things like sunsets while he's surfing and the warm winds hitting his face while he's biking. For the bad things, the things he doesn't like, he said he doesn't like the cones everywhere, how hard the language is to learn, but he's learning it, so it's a positive also. And the weird rules he thinks don't have reasons behind them. That's it. That's the whole video. You're welcome for giving you an abridged version of a simple, almost 15-minute long video that has not even a 5-minute read of an article out on one specific part of it. Now go watch the whole video and slap yourself in the face for looking stupid. Now, I don't know about you, but I didn't see anything related to lenient rape or pedophilia sentences, misogyny, the fetishization of Asian women and all that being included in PewDiePie's likes or dislikes. Could just be me, I do have awful vision, and I am so certain that somebody will leave a comment telling me that somehow the cones being a dislike is a misogynistic thing because cones are the shape of the uterus or some shit like that. But the last time I checked, my hearing is working just fine. And I didn't hear any of that shit either. So, needless to say that this little fanfiction from Twitter user Abort Your Son is just purely delusional and actually insane, and maybe even proof that this woman needs some serious psychological help, because even touching grass will not save her now. But hey, what else could you expect from good old Twitter user Abort Your Son, notable RadFem, socialist, and vegetarian, considering the sheer amount of bad takes that they got on old Twitter, which range from, and I shit you not, making things the color pink that I think are bad is grooming women because women are smart and wouldn't like these normally. I'm not even kidding, this is a real fucking tweet about how anything that they don't like that's the color pink is clearly just trying to groom women. To trans people aren't real and they're misogynistic, and I also can't say the word bitch and have to call it the B word because my woman's. Truly, there is not a single fucking RadFem out there that is not a TERF. Because let's be honest, if we were to make a Venn diagram comparing the differences and similarities between TERFs and RadFems, we would just have a circle. So needless to say, Abort Your Sons is just a sad and angry little fanfiction writer on Twitter who just doesn't like the fact that PewDiePie is living in Japan. Or that things she likes are the color pink. Maybe that's why she didn't like the video. Oh well. Now, fortunately, this is one of very few times I can end a video on a good note and say that Twitter has been ridden of one less troglodyte because Abort Your Sons is suspended. So now they're free to cry, cope, and seethe about PewDiePie living in Japan and things being pink that she doesn't like, literally anywhere else. But at least I won't have to see it. But all jokes aside, this whole projecting reasons as to why PewDiePie is obsessed with Japan and all that, reasons that consist of rather serious issues in Japan, such as pedophilia and rape being treated super leniently for decades until literally a little over a month ago, and misogyny and fetishizing women in Japan, it's just complete bullshit. And in all honesty, it's just a really despicable thing to do, to use like actual real problems that have been clearly plaguing Japan for decades now, and use that as a way to villainize a YouTuber that you simply do not like with no reason behind it. Other than he's obviously a Western man in Japan that you don't like. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching this little video. I hope you enjoyed talking about a Twitter user who has just absolutely lost her goddamn mind, because I know I did. I figured we could do something a little short and simple and sweet, considering the fact that I went through the 9 circles of hell to get my last video up on High School of the Dead. I'm not even joking, that was a fucking painful process. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen it already, it's around 51 minutes long, so don't worry about it. Just put that sucker in the background while you're like walking your dog, cooking, maybe writing a delusional fanfiction tweet about a YouTuber that you don't like that just happens to be Swedish living in a country that's not Sweden. But anyways, thank you all so much for watching, and until the next time, which I hope will be a little bit sooner than the last video, considering, you know, it took me a fucking month to get that up. You know, even if it does take me a month to get the next one up, try not to write a fan fiction for a YouTuber you don't like on Twitter, because I might see it, and I don't want to fucking see it. But yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye!